Hey everyone, it's Two Brains out here, and I'm back with another video on TFT fundamentals. But before we get into that, I want to thank everyone for their support. I was really surprised at how receptive everyone was to my previous video, and hopefully I can make more videos in that same style soon. So let's get right into it. Today I'm going to be talking about econ and level timings, which means when you want to be at each level, which round, and how much gold do you want to have at each of those points. And obviously, this differs based on, the game state and whether you're win streaking or lose streaking or whatnot. So we can run through the different scenarios. And finally, you'll see that I put a graphic in the top left so that you have a better visual representation on what I mean by rounds. So if I say something like 2-2, that just means stage 2, round 2. So as you can follow along in the graphic, so it makes it a little bit easier to follow along during this video. I'd also like to just define what pre-level means, which is a term that I'm going to be using a lot in this video, and it just means to be buying EXP without actually leveling during the turn, right? A notable example of that is when you pre-level from level 4 to level 5, when you're usually 4 out of 10 EXP, you buy the 4 EXP, so you're now 8 out of 10, and even though you're not level 5 that turn, the next turn you'll naturally gain the 2 XP it takes to get you to level 5. So that's just what I mean by pre-leveling. Alright, so this first one is the standard level and gold timings for a lot of players. And now obviously the amount of gold you'll have differs based on whether you've been win streaking or lose streaking, and sometimes how much gold you get from creeps, right? But as a general rule, these are some good foundations to follow when it comes to what level I want to be at each particular round and how much gold I should have during those points. So to start, usually on stage 1-4, which is the third creep round after the first carousel, so before you fought any other players, you'll be level 3, and you'll want to pre-level to get to level 4 next turn, right? And the reason why you want to do that is because first, if you haven't seen a chosen yet, this gives you a 20% chance of seeing a 2-cost chosen, which is hugely impactful in the early game. But also, if you think about how many comps revolve around 3-cost units, the most notable of which is something like a Shyvana in a Brawler's comp, you get a 15% chance of getting a 3-cost unit if you pre-level to 4 on 2-1, as opposed to a 0% chance if you wait until you get to 2-1 and then level, right? And so if you get a Brawler chosen early, I mean, let's lay out a scenario where you get a Brawler chosen early, right? And you pre-level and you get lucky, you get the 15% Shyvana on 2-1, right? And you just happen to have a Hurricane on your bench, right? Your entire early game is completely set and it feels really good, right? And so that's why a lot of people like to pre-level to 4 on 1-4, right? Which means that on 2-1, you'll be level 4, less than 10 gold, which is completely fine, right? And then on 2-3, which is the round right before the first or the second carousel, you want to pre-level again, right? And the reason you want to do that over making gold is, again, you want to give yourself some better rolling chances on 2-5, right? So, higher chances to get those premium 3-cost units in the early game. But also because making that 1 interest generally isn't impactful. The gold mark that you want to hit is this one that I'm highlighting right here. Having 20 gold on 2-7 is very important in my experience, right? 2-7 is the Krugs round, right? And so having 20 gold at that stage means that you're going to match, or be ahead of most of the rest of the lobby. And so that's the mark you want to aim for. Prior to that, you can spend your gold the way that you want. But after the carousel, on 2-5, you're going to be level 5 because you pre-leveled, right? And you're hopefully going to have 10 gold, right? And if you follow, a standard game where you're not really win streaking that much, so there's no reason to play too aggressively with your gold, right? Then you should think about leveling to 6 on 3-2, right? And hopefully having about 20 to 30 gold left, depending on whether you got gold from Krugs or not. And the reason you want to be level 6 is as I reiterated in the past, having that higher chance to roll for now a 4 cost unit at level 6, but also something else to think about is that if you're playing against any other reroll comps or any reroll comps in the lobby, leveling to 6 here means that you'll always have a consistent unit advantage on any of those players, which means a lot of those fights, unless they've somehow been able to 3-star their 1 cost already, right? You're gonna win based off unit difference alone, which is nice, right? You see one of them in your rounds and it's a free win, right? And so continuing along, you want to be level 7 on 4-1, which is a very standard thing that I think a lot of people know already. 4-1 is the round right after Wolves, right? And you'll notice that I didn't really put a gold value next to this because depending on game state, you might want to be rolling on level 7. You might want to roll 10, 20 gold. Maybe you want to roll all your gold, depending on how you're doing HP wise and how you're feeling about your comp. So the gold value at this point is it varies, and you want to just be able to set yourself up as best you can for the late game, right? So moving on, let's look at a scenario where you're win streaking. Right, so when you're win streaking, what you ideally want to do is play as aggressively as you can with your gold, because maintaining that win streak and getting that +3 gold interest every turn, right, is more impactful than the interest gold you would have otherwise made, with the 30 or 40 or 50 mark, right? And so the first two obviously are follow the standard leveling pattern. On 1-4, you want to pre-level. And on 2-1, you'll be level 4 with less than 10 gold. Where it differs is on 2-3, which is the round right before the second carousel, when most people pre-level, and for example, you have won the first 2 rounds. You have a unit on your bench where it feels like, okay, if I put this in, I feel like I get such a power spike, I'm guaranteed to win this round. Maybe spend the 8 gold, right? Level to 5 and put that unit in, right? Now, if you're able to, win out the entire stage 2, get to Krugs with that 5 win streak, right? And again, you feel like, oh, I have a unit on my bench where if I put it in, right, it's going to make a huge impact. It's going to make an immediate difference in the strength of my composition. Then you can level to 6 on 3-1 instead of 3-2, right? And it looks like you're sacking, 1 or 2 gold interest, but you're able to maintain that win streak, which is at this point going to be +3, right? And if that succeeds and you're able to win streak all the way into the 3rd carousel, you can consider leveling to 7 after the 3rd carousel. If again you have a unit that you can put in that's going to make an impact, that's going to let you hit some premium synergy that you want to hit, right? And this lets you get to 7 2 rounds or 3 rounds earlier than most other players, right? And you can hopefully carry your win streak into Wolves round, right? And so basically the rule of thumb when you're win streaking and you feel like you have a strong board is to play very aggressive with your gold, right? And try to maintain that win streak for as long as possible. Now, finally, let's look at a scenario where things aren't really going your way. So you can generally tell if the early game is going to go your way or not going to go your way based on the first 3 PvP rounds, right? And so you'll see that the first 5 leveling schemes here are the exact same as the standard one, because that early on the game in stage 2, there's not a lot that you can do. You don't have enough gold yet. You're not high enough level yet where you can utilize some of these tricks to save HP, right? Now where it differs is on 3-1. So if, for example, you get into stage 2, you don't find a chosen that you like, or you just see bad chosens in your opinion, right? And you just get blasted every single round, right? And you get to Krugs and you're let's say 70 HP, right? Which is never good, right? Or maybe even worse, like 65 HP, right? And you feel like your board is really weak, right? You can consider leveling to 6 on 3-1 and even rolling some gold so that you can stabilize your board. You can sell your current chosen or roll for a chosen if you don't already have one, right? And just find a way to stabilize so that in stage 3 you can win some rounds, you don't lose quite as much HP, right? And you can kind of claw your way back a little bit, right? And then in this scenario, hopefully you're able to win out stage 3, or at least win the majority of rounds in stage 3, not lose too much HP, and get enough gold back so that you can level to 7 on 4-1 just like everybody else, right? Now, there's another scenario where you get to Krugs, you haven't been winning or losing so much, but let's say you get to Krugs and you're like 80 HP, right? It's not terrible, it's not great, but maybe you don't feel desperate in that situation, and you feel like your board is okay, and you come out of Krugs, and it just so happens to match you up against that 100 HP person who's already leveled to 6, and they just completely destroy your board, right? You get 6-0'd, right? You lose like 15, maybe 18 HP in that scenario, and it's terrible, right? All of a sudden you went from 80 HP to maybe 65 HP, and you're a little bit desperate now, right? There's not a lot that you can do in the next round immediately unless you want to roll your gold, but you can follow the standard leveling scheme to level to 6 on 3-2, and then post carousel on 3-5, if you still feel like you're weak, or if you lost again and you're maybe 50 HP now, you can level to 7 early, right, as if you were win streaking, and roll some of your gold so that you can feel a little bit more stable in your position, right? So this has been my short video on econ and leveling timings. Obviously I didn't go over reroll comps. Personally, I don't think reroll comps are that good right now, and so I'm not going to go over it. And also, I think there are a lot of different reroll guides out there. But thank you all for watching the video, and hope to make more videos like this for you soon.